What's good, everybody? Welcome back to the Morning Dinner Podcast, episode number 92 with Jessica Kobeissi. Before we get started, don't forget to
like
and then
comment
and then
subscribe.
And don't forget to leave us a review on iTunes or Apple Podcasts or whatever you use to listen to this podcast because it helps. It helps other people find us. And we need it. Jessica Kobeissi is a portrait and fashion photographer based out of Detroit, Michigan. And in this podcast, I hope to learn a lot from her, get a little bit of her background and what kind of put her into the world of photography. I got a lot of questions, man. What do you want to find out?
How'd she get started in the YouTube area?
Oh, the YouTube era.
And the photography.
Yeah.
Of course, photography.
We're so grateful that Jessica was able to schedule us for some time and join us on this podcast. Without further ado, we present to you episode 92 of the Morning Dinner Podcast.
Every time I come in the kitchen, you in the kitchen, in the goddamn refrigerator.
I sure am hungry.
Welcome, everybody, to the Morning Dinner Podcast. Today, we got Jessica Kobeissi in the house. And if you guys don't know who she is, we actually did a little bio before we even started filming this little segment here. But for people who are tuning in and don't know Jessica, can you explain who you are and what you do?
Hi, guys. My name is Jessica Kobeissi, and I am a portrait and fashion photographer and YouTuber based in Detroit.
Do you feel that you've become a master at your craft at this point?
Not even close, but I think that's the fun part about it. You're always learning something new, and you're always finding ways to get better, and I think that's part of it. I don't want to be a perfect photographer.
That's kind of true. Like if you,
Yeah,
I guess if you ever think you're perfect at photography, like there's nowhere else to improve, right? So I mean, everybody kind of sees their work and kind of always wants to improve on it. Are there any specific photographers that you currently like look up to and admire?
Yeah. Quite a few. Some I can name off the bat. Lena Tesh is actually someone who I've looked up to. I think her photography is amazing. She's a German fashion photographer, and her work is incredible. So she's definitely inspired me. So yeah, she's one of those that I look up to. Love her work. It's beautiful.
Yeah,
I look up to like a bunch of like incredible, like out of this world where the photos almost look like oil paintings, like those kind of retouchers.
Oh yeah.
Even though I feel like I'll never be able to do it myself, like I just have such a high appreciation for it. And I have to ask, because looking at your YouTube channel, you also do a lot of retouching yourself, and from what the photo you take to the photo that you end up like, exporting as your final image, there's a big change. I guess like, at what point did you realize like you need to edit your photos a certain way to make them look more different than the way you captured them? Did you always feel like there was a need to edit the photos versus like, I'm sure a lot of people who do like film, they always say like, oh, well, I'm going to capture as it is. And aside from a couple of like, exposure changes, I'm not going to change much.
I think editing is really what inspired me to start photography and retouching. That's primarily what I wanted to do. And I like to own like 100% of the image. I like to like showcase an image and be like, this is my whole piece of work, rather than like send it off to a retoucher. And I understand why people send their work off to retouchers, but it kind of just takes away from the entire process to, have someone else do half of the work for you. And it's, editing is such, like it creates such a distinct style for each photographer. So it's like, why wouldn't you want to work on that for your image? And that's the funnest part for me. I love to color it and retouch it, clean it up, make it look cute. I understand that some photographers who maybe shoot film or they have a different type of style don't necessarily like to retouch, but I'm all about retouching and like coloring, making it look like my own style rather than just a raw picture.
That's kind of interesting that you said that, because like I used to do a lot of filmmaking before. And I'm more of a very traditional filmmaker where I don't like to like over color or grade or like so one of the things was when I started seeing people do a lot of visual effects, and they started calling that filmmaking. And I started coming from the fact, like from the point of view of like, well, filmmaking is kind of like, you shoot, you edit, you tell a story, but like that's visual effects. Like visual effects doesn't have to be a part of filmmaking. But I guess the more we go on, they kind of integrate. Like you almost have to, like, if you're going to be a filmmaker, you kind of have to know how to do some level of visual effects, whether it's, green screening or kind of like, motion tracking or things like that. Do you feel like editing, like it should be a part of the shooting as well, and not be like two separate things. Because I know like Anna was it Annie Leibovitz? I know the photographer Annie Leibovitz. She doesn't like edit her photos, right? She has like her own retouchers. Like, where do you stand on that?
I personally like to edit and retouch my pictures on my own, but I understand she's a super famous photographer, so she probably doesn't even have time to do any of that. You know what I mean? She's probably out shooting all the time, and you know, it's interesting because there's like different levels of like there's definitely different levels that I see to editing and retouching and photography. So there's some people who are like, no, I'm not going to retouch at all, and it's most natural like this, and they leave it at that. And then there's, you know, on the other side, like the extreme side of photography, where it's like, it looks like you said, a fine art painting or a digital painting at that point with so much retouching. And I think it comes down to your preference as a photographer. Personally, for me, you know, when you're first starting out, you got to just figure out, like, how much retouching do I want to do? How much editing are my pictures going to have? And for me, I want it to be kind of in the middle, like, but I can definitely see a trend now, especially on Instagram, where there's super, super, super vibrant, colorful photography. And I mean, personally, like, I don't do that type of style, but I can definitely appreciate it, and I like the fact that there's so many different types of styles. I think that that's what makes photographers so unique, is their editing, and that's what separates you from somebody else. So definitely, I love to edit, and I would say like that's such a fun part of photography. Like, it's kind of like baking a cake and then like adding the frosting and all the little decorations and stuff. Like, that's like the funnest part of it, you know? So that's just the way I see it. Yeah, it's like you gotta decorate the cake and make it your own.
Have your hands on everything. That's dope. Because that's how I feel about it. I guess it's like the gift and curse for me is because I'm always like, I like to be in everything. But I finally started, I was able to start, for editing video, I kind of like started getting unattracted to it because I was like, this is just so boring. So that's the only time I handed off. Yeah, I'm like, it's just, when you're trying to find selects and stuff for the video and you're trying to cut things down, I'm like, oh my God, this is so boring. So that's the only time I usually pass it on now, and I have a friend who does it. Yeah,
we had Gina Joy on the podcast recently, and she kind of was the one that opened my eyes to like, oh wait, hold on, so you do weddings, right? Don't you have someone to go through like the 120 gigabytes of footage that you have and sift through the best shots? That way, if you want to edit it, you have the shot. You don't have to worry about trimming in and outs. And that kind of like opened my mind up to like, oh wait, you don't have to do everything on your own, you know? I mean, when it comes to photos, I definitely do want to, unless it's something I don't know how to do and I know somebody else can do it better. Like, you know, just the, what's it called? Frequency separation. Like, I feel like skin cleanup is something that I'm not good at. Like, you can tell I edited the photo when I do like, you know, skin retouching. Cause if it's color, if it's like exposure, things like that, I can always like handle on my own, but I've never been like super confident in the skin retouching. But anywho, I wanna kick it back to your YouTube channel. You started YouTube 2012, 13? 13. Now I think I started following your journey in 2015, and I want to say it was like a video you did where you were showing off like the 50 millimeter. 1.8, the nifty 50, I think it was, because that's kind of when I started doing photography, and I was like, well, I gotta see how you work. You know, what's so special about this nifty 50 everybody's talking about? At what point in your YouTube career did you realize, like, holy crap, people are watching this and they're watching it a lot?
So I would say the defining moment for my YouTube channel was, I believe the first episode of For Photographers was early 2017. I think it was January 2017. The first episode came out, and the first couple weeks, like it was just like whatever. And then I guess like photography websites started picking it up, and then it kept getting shared, and then it started getting featured and more, and then the video just went viral and it took off. And I had people texting me like screenshots like, you're trending on Pinterest, and you know, like, you're everywhere. You're like, I don't know. It was like people were sending me articles about it, and it was
so
pretty
dope.
Great. It was so surreal, like seeing all of that like focus and attention on what I did. And I've never had a video that reached like 1 million views, and it was just very surreal. And I think that was, and I had been doing YouTube for what, like 4 years by then. It wasn't like anything crazy, but I love to do it. I love to, you know, teach and put out the tutorials and stuff. So it's not like I wasn't making content to go viral or to, you know, to like be famous or whatever. I was just doing it because it was fun and I liked it, and I was hanging with my friends and making like cute videos. So yeah, that was when I knew, like, okay, wow, we got something here. We got something good here. So
I kind of realized like you were onto something when I started seeing my friends posting your work, and they weren't even into photography. They were just like resharing, like, wow, this is so cool. You know what I mean? Like, that's kind of when you know you've broken the mold, when you get people who are not even in your industry who are sharing it because they think it's so cool.
That is
yeah, there was a lot of people who came up to me and were like, we don't even do photography anymore. We love the video. And I'm like, well, okay, wow, that's great. At least we get people who are non-photographers who are appreciating the work that we do and really seeing it in a different perspective than what they usually do.
What was the moment that inspired you to do the 4 photographers shoot 1 model concept? Because I don't think before you that had ever been done. Like, that was the first time I had ever seen it. So, you know, what was a point where you realized like, oh, this would be a cool concept? And when you came up with it, did you think it was going to take off the way it did?
I definitely had no plans for it to be as popular as it is today. I mean, if you would have asked me, I don't know. It's just, you never, you know what it is on YouTube? The videos that you think that are going to do well, they're just like, they're like little baby flops, you know?
Yeah.
And then the videos that you never plan for, that you put like $10 into, 1 million views, 2 million views, you know? It's just, it's crazy, and you can't really prepare for it. But, you know, what I started to do is, I like to think of like creative, like even beyond for photographers, like think of the creative concepts and just think like what kind of challenges and what kind of fun stuff can we do? Because
What
happened?
You cut out and you dropped out right mid sentence. It's all good. We'll edit it.
Oh my God! It just like my whole computer turned off.
Did you go to sleep?
Do you guys have CenturyLink out there?
Maybe it did go to sleep. Oh my! I think it did go to sleep. Oh my God! That scared me. I was like,
yeah, you're good.
By the way, for people who are tuning in and are not familiar with this podcast, we usually do this podcast in person, but however, we weren't able to do it in person. And internet is a very finicky thing sometimes. Yeah, so
the technology,
if the Wi-Fi did go out, it's totally like understandable. Like that's the reason we primarily didn't do like Skype interviews before, because we're like, nah.
Because it's so messed up. Like, I pay so much money for like this top tier internet out here, and it still cuts out. Internet providers are the worst people on earth. What do you guys have out there?
Comcast.
Oh, of course.
They
own everything. They own everything.
It's tough because, you know, there's like better service providers here. So it's like kind of like you get stuck with like the lesser of two evils, you know what I mean? So
exactly. That's why that South Park episode
we only have
hilarious.
Two right out here, right? Like 2 major ones, Cox and...
No, I think it's just literally Cox, because the other...
CenturyLink is not good at all. Like, CenturyLink is for people who like want to have basic email.
People who want to just
pretty
go
much
on,
what it is.
Yeah, email.
and then Cox Communications has the monopoly on it. But anywho, I'm sorry, we didn't mean to cut you off mid sentence there.
It was my fault. I'm sorry. I think my computer went to sleep.
No, you're good.
You're good.
She's like, I hate this podcast.
No, you guys are cool. Okay.
I know.
So I don't even know what I was even saying.
I think you were talking about the. You said the thing that you think will take off is less likely to take off.
Yeah. So I learned, through years of YouTube that just expect the unexpected. Things that you don't think are gonna do well, do really well, and things that you really put so much time and energy and money into sometimes will like 10,000 views and that's it, and so that's why I try to do a variety of challenges and creative things. And back when I was on YouTube doing these videos, there weren't any challenges anymore. Like, people weren't doing those like collaborations with other photographers. So I think that video was kind of like something. Like, it was like a refresh moment where it's like, oh, we're doing these challenges again. And then it kind of just inspired a bunch of people to start doing them. And I think that's amazing. Like, so Yeah, that's what happened.
No, so one thing with that is like when you make YouTube videos and you put a lot of time and effort into it, like have you just been able to say like, okay, take the emotion out from posting YouTube videos so you don't get like offended or anything or sad when it doesn't do well, compared to like those videos you just do and they make like a shit ton of views and you put barely any effort into it?
You know, honestly, it doesn't really faze me because like sometimes obviously like if I put a lot of work into something and it doesn't like do amazing, I'm like, oh, okay, that kind of sucks. But I think that's the most emotion I'll give to it, because I know how YouTube works, and you know, it's a toss up. You got to keep trying, and I'm not the person who gives up easily, so I'm very resilient. I'll keep on trying, and I just push for the next video. I try to think, and you know, it kind of motivates me. I'm like, okay, the other one didn't do as well. Let me try to think of a new idea. Like, what else can work? Let's try something different. So it's kind of like, it is, this whole YouTube thing is kind of like one giant challenge for me. It's like, what's going to do well, what's not. I guess we're not going to find out until we put it out there and put in the work.
It's like a little video game.
Yeah, and you know, I do wedding photography primarily is my main job, so it's not like I have all my eggs in one basket. But right now I am focused a little bit more on YouTube and agency work, so you know, there's definitely that pressure, but I never let YouTube take over my entire life. It's basically just like a fun side of work for me, and that's what I don't let it consume my emotions that much.
Yeah, that's very smart though, especially from a
putting personal stuff on there. Yeah.
Nice.
Wait, sorry, I cut you off.
No, you're good. It was like glitching on our end, and I didn't know you were still talking. I'm sorry.
This will all get fixed in the edit. I swear to God, guys. You have a lot of unique concepts on your YouTube channel, and I think that's one of the reasons that people are most attracted to your channel, is because when they go there, it might be something completely different the next week, you know, like, or some new type of challenge that they never heard before. One of my favorite ones was the you shooting strangers.
Yeah, that's like my favorite one, like the one in Japan, because I felt that awkwardness with you guys. I was like, I started getting nervous. You know what I mean? I was like, oh shit.
And on that note, has there ever been a challenge that you did that you were like, didn't work as well as I thought, I'm not gonna post it? Has there ever been a challenge where you're like,
everybody was like, no photo?
Or like a video that you were working on that you were just like, finally like watching it before it exported and you were like, maybe I won't post this?
No, I usually post mostly everything that I shoot, and if I don't post it, it's just because I haven't gotten around to editing it, and then at that point it's like old. So no, I don't. It like that stuff doesn't factor into whether I post it or not. If I'm shooting it, and I work on the concept like a couple weeks before I shoot it, so it's like a refined concept at that point. Or if it's literally something last minute, even if it's smart. Last minute, I still try to make it into something and put it up no matter what. So but funny you bring up the strangers videos, because you know, oh gosh, like, even though at the end of the video, like, I'm super like excited and happy that we finished it, like, the build up to that video is always like dreadful. It's like, oh, like anxiety, stress, nervousness, and it's not like the fun, like, those have to be the toughest ones for me to shoot. But as you can see, we've done so many of them, and but even though we've done so many, it still doesn't change my feelings on it, you know?
Right. Well, I think it's because of the fact that you mentioned it yourself, that it gave you anxiety to do a video like that because it put you out of your comfort zone, right? You have to walk up to strangers and talk to them. I think that also adds to why people want to watch it so much, because a lot of people...
Yeah, 90% of people can't do that.
A lot of people in photography are introverts. So for them to see something like that, it's like, oh... You know, like, I would like to do something like that, you know?
It's the adrenaline rush, low-key.
It's the adrenaline rush, low-key.
Definitely an adrenaline rush.
Like, I get so nervous when I watch. Like, if I'm getting nervous just watching it, you know the people do it.
All right, so you have a lot of different concepts on your channel, and not only concepts for photography, but you also do a lot of, like, sharing. Like, you share about your experience with the crash hard drive. Or you share about the time there was like a creepy guy stalking your photo shoot. Is there anything that you've ever shared that you kind of like regret sharing?
That's a good question. Honestly, no, not really. I just sometimes, when you share your personal experience, and especially something that like emotionally triggers you and was either traumatic, it could be stressful. You're putting that personal experience out there, and it's hard to sometimes get feedback where it's a criticism that that you're gonna get, but it's like, do you really want to hear it? Even though you did nothing wrong, and you just have to kind of expect sometimes negative feedback on a personal experience that was like, again, traumatizing or stressful, that you maybe like aren't ready to hear. And again, it just could be somebody who just doesn't like you, or someone just being overly critical. So, but at the end of the day, my stories, people like that I share them, and I think it's important to share the non-glamorous side of photography, and also share the fact that these things do happen to me. Like, I'm not a perfect person, and I go through a lot of struggles and things like that. So I think it is important for me to share that, because I don't want anyone thinking I have like this perfect life and I'm over here traveling and doing all this fun stuff. Because yeah, while it is fun, you still deal with the negative side of it, and there are times where things get stressful. And yeah, I like to just share and hope it relates to some people and helps people say like, okay, I'm not alone in this. Jessica also went through it too.
Yeah, that's and that's also like a pretty big relief for people who are watching your channel, because when they see somebody who's, quote unquote as successful as you are with with your photography, with the videos and all that stuff, it's good for them to see someone they can actually relate to.
Yeah, because it has a human touch to it. It's not like this perfect robotic person who does everything perfect, has the dopest life in the world, is like just doing the craziest stuff.
Because we see that all the time. People only post the highlights.
And I think it's making a lot more people depressed because they're comparing so much. They're like, oh my God, I want my life to be, but nobody's life is like that. Nobody's.
No, and
it's like so fake.
Yeah, and I do not like that. I don't like when people perpetuate like a false reality, especially on social media, because people may see that, they may get depressed, like, okay, my life's not like that, my photography is not taking off like that. And so I like to show that other side of photography, and just remind people that you may go through this, and life isn't perfect. Like, I'm not, I struggle with a lot of things, so I just want to share it with people. Yeah, but that's my number one thing. Like, I try to keep it real, and stuff happens to me too, and that's okay. It's okay.
So being involved in the whole creative world of photography and video making and posting to social media, there's always like this kind of like loop that we go through as creatives, right? Where we're like always creating, always posting, always engaging. Do you ever feel like either burnt out, or maybe you've hit like a what I call creative funks, where you kind of like you fall into this stage of like you're burned out, you don't want to do as much as you're currently doing, you want to take a step back, what I mean? And if you do experience those, how do you deal with them?
So I think, yeah, definitely. I 100% have gone through like periods where I don't want to make anything at all. I'm not feeling inspired. Maybe there's like a set of photos I haven't retouched yet because I'm just not into it. I'm like, oh, I don't really feel like editing it. Even though I love to edit, for some reason, I'm just not in the mood anymore. And I honestly just give myself time to move past it. But I always remind myself, I'm not gonna let all of this work that I've put energy into like go to waste because I'm feeling kind of down for like a week or two. So I always kind of just try to remind myself, I've been through like, there's like personal issues that I've been through, and like, the passing of a like close family member that I had to deal with last year. And it's just, it's tough to go through that, but also to keep posting and doing the shoots and filming and everything while like you're going through something like really sad, and it gets tough. But at the end of the day, for me, I just try to be as strong as I can, and trust me, like been through it, still going through it, like ups and downs, mood swings, all that stuff. So it's tough. It's easier said than done, but it's definitely 100% possible. And, photography really makes me happy. And I just remind myself, like, this is what I love to do. And I'm so grateful to be able to I'm literally able to do YouTube and travel and do all these things that a lot of people, only wish that they could do. So I have to always like try to bring myself back down to earth. Like, I'm very grateful for the opportunities that I I have been given. So I never take that for granted ever. So I always put in the work no matter what. Always meet the deadline. But I give myself a break when I need it.
Yeah, and we're grateful that you keep on creating, because even after, like you said, 7 years of creating on YouTube, like I'm still tuning every time you upload a video. Like I got the notification. You know, I'm notification squad. It's always good that you see your favorite creators still creating.
Yeah.
MVP over
And
there.
I'm editing this new video soon. It's gonna be up probably this week. I think you'll like it. It's a fun one.
Ooh. Damn. All right. Well, wait, is it going to be up this week or next week?
Hopefully this week. I'm waiting on my pictures from. Wait, let me make. Oh, shoot. Okay, it's not recording. Okay.
So people who are tuning into the podcast and are not watching the video and they're listening to the audio only, you may have seen a dip in quality there for a second. We're testing out a Skype. We're testing out the whole Skype setup here, and it's still got a little bugs here and there. So we're having Jessica record backup audio on her end, just in case like our video signal dips or whatever. But yeah, I wanted to ask you a question, Jessica. If MySpace was still a thing in 2020, what would your page look like, and what song would you have playing right now?
They're gonna say who would your top 8 be?
No, I don't want to cause any controversy.
Top 8? I don't have that many people in my life. No, I'm joking. Let's see. My page would probably be, I don't know. I'd probably have like really like some funky, like a cat wallpaper of like cat faces in the background. And then I'd have like a header from like Nickelodeon's Doug or something. Like, I don't know, just some weird, it'd be like totally weird, cartoony anime stuff. Studio Ghibli.
You said anime.
Yeah, I love Studio Ghibli.
Yeah, that's my favorite.
I was gonna say, because I think I remember you mentioned something before where you were, because I know you're super into Neopets. All right, we're gonna go into that, but I forgot if you ever mentioned that if you had a MySpace page, because I know a lot of people who are into like photography, they started out with their MySpace page trying to make it look super cool, and then they would also do like the coding for the page to make it look a certain way.
Oh yeah. That would be me. I'd spend all this time doing the coding and stuff by myself because I was really into that and I knew how to do it back then. You guys asked me what song I would have on there, and I don't know. There's a lot of my favorite songs. I'm looking at my most played. You know, we got a lot, but maybe something from, I don't know, Cage the Elephant, because I love Cage the Elephant, or Melanie Martinez because I love her too. So I don't know, maybe something.
Manny's loves Melanie Martinez.
You know, like those annoying people who would put the music thing on their MySpace, but they'd hide it so you can't stop the music.
I hated that.
I was like, I hate y'all so much.
Damn, we threw it back to like 20 years, man. That's crazy. But I do want to dive into the whole Neopets thing, all right? When was the last time you logged in?
Didn't it die? Didn't the servers?
No. I think the website still looks exactly the same.
Looks exactly the same.
That's crazy.
So, actually, I think it was maybe a year and a half or 2 years ago. Actually, my account was like, okay, so what happened on Neopets is somebody like hacked the entire website and they got everybody's account information. And then they basically, like, they changed, everyone's passwords got changed. And also they added in a feature where you have to know the birthday to get into your account. And the thing is, we were so young back then. We just all used fake birthdays. Like I was born in like 1950 or something. You know what I mean? So I didn't remember what year I put for the birthday. So I couldn't get into that account. And and I was always like bothered by it because that was like my whole childhood. I'm like, oh, I need to just see my account again in my Neopet. And so somebody got in touch with me from Neopets. Like she used to play with me when I was younger. And I kind of like expressed to her like how upset I was over it. And she's like, oh, okay, I can help you get your account back. And I'm like, okay. So she kind of like inspired me to, and she told me exactly what to do, like to contact the Neopets team and everything. And yeah, so it ended up working. Like I kept like posting on their Facebook page and like, I need my account back. And yeah, after emails back and forth, they finally, like I had to verify the account. I had to remember from like 10 years ago what items I had in my inventory and like what Neo friends I had on there. So they ended up giving me the account back. And it was honestly like the craziest moment ever because it's like I hadn't logged in so long. And I was like looking at stuff that was kind of like, it was like a time portal. I was looking at stuff that I had back when I was like 14. So I think the last time I log in there occasionally just to see like what's up. But last time I logged in was maybe like 2 weeks ago. Just for like, I literally go on for like 2 minutes and I just log out.
Just to get that little nostalgia.
It's like that hit of nostalgia, you know.
So I don't know. Maybe I just didn't create a fake birthday, but I was able to get into my account recently, and I only logged into it specifically for this podcast episode because I forgot I had one. And dude, I had all my Neopets there. They were dead, like starving, but I had all the brushes and all the accessories. I was like, damn.
You got a brush. What brush do you have? Do you have a baby brush?
I don't know what they are.
I wish I knew you guys are talking about.
So in Neopets, there's this concept where you can like change the color of your Neopet with the paintbrush.
Yeah,
you can accessorize it and all that stuff.
When was Neopets started? Like 2002?
Yeah.
That's a good question.
It was somewhere early. Yeah, it was.
I was playing like
so
nerdy games like RuneScape and Maple Story.
Oh my god, my brother's
Maple Story.
Oh my god.
Remember that?
You guys are making me depressed right now. I can't.
Nostalgia.
Those were the fun times. Fun times.
So I kind of want to talk about something that I'm sure someone like you has to deal with because of your following that has grown so much over the years. How do you view negative feedback or just, feedback you don't necessarily agree with? Because like I get offended when a buddy of mine tells me my stuff sucks. Like if Chuck tells me something sucks that I do, I get like depressed. So like when you have 100,000 1.6 million people watching your videos, how do you like? Is there just like you just don't read them? Do you read your comments? Like how does that work out?
I do read the comments. I don't read all of them, but I try to, respond to a couple of them. It gets tough. It gets tough because no one really wants to read a negative comment about themselves or be criticized for something that they're doing. But at the same time, you're on YouTube. You gotta expect it, and you gotta just be ready for it, and you gotta take it. You gotta take it, even if it's with a grain of salt. It's gonna be there. It's not gonna go away. So me being upset at it, it's not gonna make things better for me. So yeah, I'll read so many comments about my work. I'm a terrible photographer. I'm the worst of the group. And there's comments about my personality and all that other stuff. And, sometimes I will take feedback like, oh, the audio sucks, or, oh, this video is really shaky. Why did you film it like this? It's terrible. I'll take that feedback and I'll use it to make my next video better. And I do appreciate like the constructive critiques and everything. So I definitely listen to those comments. I like to hear people's feedback. I think to a degree, it is important to hear what people have to say. Like in one video for 4 photographers, that people were saying like I was so negative and I was not being very receptive to the challenges and stuff like that. And I was complaining too much. And although I didn't personally think that I was complaining, I think that's just how I am. I was like making a joke of it. At the same time, could I be more positive and could I improve on that? Absolutely. So, I was upset at first because I don't want to be seen as somebody who's constantly complaining and negative and all that. But at the same time, like there's definitely improvements to be made and I'm not perfect. Yeah, sometimes I do complain. Sometimes sometimes all I want to do is just say the negative stuff. That's just how it is.
People who are...
No, go ahead.
For a second. I thought you were like done talking because on our computer you froze out. But I was gonna say you would think somebody who watches all of your content, they would already know your personality and how you are, because like I know like I can be with that way with Chuck, where like we'll say things that may like if somebody who's barely meeting us for the first time, they'll be like, oh, that was awkward. Because it's the way we are, the way we talk to each other. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like whether it's like I may make like a passive aggressive comment towards him, but he knows it's like a joke. It's like a joke. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You would think somebody who watches your content would know kind of like your personality, and you have a lot of personality. Like when you watch your videos, you can tell like you're kind of like goofy and you're kind of quirky and you like to make jokes every now and then. So people should not be like oh, you're being negative. Like, come on, dude. You're making a video. Why would you be negative on a video that you're going to post on your channel? You know what I mean?
Exactly. And, you make a good point because sometimes people don't see the dynamics of a group and they don't know the history of that group and the friendship that you've had with that person. For instance, they can watch a video of you and your friend and you can be like, you guys can be roasting each other. But at the same time, people would be commenting like, oh, Jessica's so mean to this person. She was bullying them the whole time. It's like, you guys don't know. We literally roast each other all the time. And we just like to have fun. Like, why would I bully somebody on camera? And also, I'm so against all of that. Like, there's no way I would ever do that. I hate making people feel uncomfortable. Like, and, you know, I invite my friends on these videos to like have fun. Like, I would never want somebody to feel like I'm purposely being mean to them. And so I definitely don't want to make it look like that on video, especially, you know what I mean? So that's just one thing. People don't know the context of a situation. And so you get a lot of judgments, like immediate judgments from people who haven't watched your previous videos and don't know the history of your friendship with others. And you just have to accept it. And people are always going to have an opinion on it. As long as you know the truth and your close friends are there by your side supporting you and your family is there for you, like, you know, I'll get by and I get through it. So it's fine with me.
One of the things too that I wanted to talk about was, you know, when you talk to photographers, there's always like a conversation going on around what's the best camera, right? That's the first thing people who are getting into photography look for. They want to know what's the best camera, what's the best lens, what settings should I be using? Where do you fall on the like the Nikon versus Canon versus Sony versus Fuji debate?
I don't think it's so much about the gear as it is how creative you are with it. For me, I started using Canon because all my other favorite photographers were using it. I've never used any other brand really for a photo shoot other than Canon. So it's hard for me to say like, oh yeah, Sony's better or Fuji's better when I haven't really used it. I definitely am interested in branching out and trying new brands just to see what is out there, because when you get used to something, there's always room to do better and see what else is possible. And so I want to see what else is out there. At the same time, I love my Canon gear. I love the pictures that I take. And
so I'm kind of like I'm on the Sony side of things, but sometimes I go like, man, I wish I would have stuck to Canon. And I will only say this because of one thing: those cameras
color
are built
profile?
like tanks.
Oh,
Well, that too. Hold on, but those things are built like tanks. You can pretty much throw it in a tank of water, and they'll be fine. Like, you know, because I've seen you do shoots primarily like when you're doing weddings and it starts raining outside. Like that thing holds up. Like
I don't even worry about
What's
it.
that one guy? It's that Asian guy. He did like the test with the 70 and he burned it. He threw it down like a hella flights of stairs and like it was still working. Like, and he burnt it. He threw it down like stairs. It's that Digital Rev guy.
Oh,
What's his name?
Kai.
Yeah, Kai.
Kai.
Like,
Yeah.
bro, and this fool was like, he did all this stuff to it, and at the very end, he picked it up, and it was still taking photos. I was like, oh my god,
Wow.
Canon got it down. That's like that. So I respect Canon.
It better be less than 90 degrees outside if you shooting Sony. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. You be a studio photographer if you're shooting Sony, man.
Crank that AC, right?
Yeah, you gotta put ice packs on that shit.
So I have a little like Sony A6500, which is like, you know, the little tiny little cameras. And if you're shooting 4K, like, dude, it better be cold outside. 'Cause
Really?
it won't- yeah, the little light will come on and say it's overheating. And maybe it's something they fixed already. We know.
No, I definitely think it's a size issue as well. Because when you're
yeah.
so compact, there's too much
true.
heat inside there. With Canon bodies, they're a little bigger. And I
Also,
just like
it's video,
like-
right?
Yeah.
So that's why. Also, I'm a photographer. I don't think we'd ever run into that issue.
I wonder, like, yeah, that'd be a good test. Like, bring it out on the field and kind of see how long you can shoot with it compared. Because I know for sure video is gonna make it
You should
way
do
more.
you should do a YouTube video where you say, hey, let's see how long it takes for this Sony camera to burn out. To overheat.
I don't think they would like that. I get like a legal like email from a lawyer like, you need to take this down.
Can they actually do that?
I don't know. You know,
like
that's
that.
one thing. I get worried about posting certain things on YouTube because the last thing I want is someone trying to sue me, you know, and it's not outlandish in this day and age.
Yeah.
Have you ever been asked to take down a video because
Yes.
they didn't like it or something? Wow.
Damn, that's awkward.
So then here's my question. Before you do your videos, do you ever have people like sign documents that say, if you're gonna be in this video, like you gotta promise not to sue me, like, or like ask me to take the video down?
So before I was threatened to be sued. No, I didn't. But someone like either if they're a model or if they're a photographer in the video, obviously they consent to it because they're in the video. You know, they're willing participants in the video. It's very clear. But after a situation happened, I had people sign model releases, but I don't have anyone do that anymore. I just really make it clear, like, you know, you're agreeing to be in this video. You have it in a text message, you have it in an email. And so everything, you just have like a digital footprint of an agreement between you guys of being in this collaboration. And a lot of people, like 99.99 people, never say anything about the video that goes up. Like I never have any issues. It's always like that. But there's always going to be that one person that's like, well, I don't like this, or this, I don't like this video, and just, can you take it down? And it's just like, it gets complicated. And so I don't know. For me, I don't currently have people, like for photographers or for anything else, I don't have people sign anything because, as you can see, they willingly want to be in the video. So we usually don't have that issue, but it does happen on YouTube.
And I don't want to go into it too deep, but like that does remind me of the time that you posted a video where you said you shot a wedding for like a family friend.
Oh, back in the day.
And then like
that made me sad.
Yeah, that triggered me, bro. I was like, I'm watching your face as you tell the story, and I'm like, I feel your pain. Like that would suck.
Because I think we've all, as freelancers and stuff, have been in certain situations like that where it's just weird. It was just awkward. And it was just like, yo, I'm not even trying to hurt nobody.
I've definitely learned from all of my experiences, and I'm still learning till this day. Like things happen, and you try to do things the right way and be like do things perfectly, but sometimes things don't work out, things go wrong, and I just try to minimize and prevent all of those issues, but sometimes it's literally like inevitable, and I just, yeah, it definitely, it happens, and that was tough, you know, because we were family friends, and I don't know, it's like, what went wrong? You know, like, why is this person treating me like this? You never want to think people are like this. You want to think everybody's good in the world, and they're never going to do this to you, and they're going to pay you the money that you are owed. And so, honestly, a lot of the times, it's like, I can't even believe people would not agree to pay. Like, I could never see myself doing that to somebody else, you know? I would never say the words like, no, I'm not going to pay you, even though I know you did the work. Like, that just seems so wrong to me. It just seems unbelievable that people even go there and are like, no, I'm just not going to pay you. So
I've had an artist friend of mine do that to me recently. And, you know, after, you know, and this is the reason I'm talking about, like end of 2019. And it's trippy to me because this is something that like I had to deal with when I was first starting with video back in like 2012, 2013. Like I get it. Like I'm going to mess up. Maybe I didn't state things clearly, but at this point, you know, I'm pretty confident in the way that I communicate my point. You know what I mean? Like if I tell you I'm going to work on something with you, I am very clear as a creative and as a professional to set the expectation. I'm going to give you X and Z. You're going to give me Y. And that's, you know, that's going to form the XYZ right there. So it sucks. Like you said, you never expect it, especially from people who are close to you. Like I've known this individual for 10 years maybe. But it happens, you know?
Yeah.
Just because we wouldn't do it to somebody doesn't mean they won't do it.
Because they probably don't truly understand how we feel about what we do creatively. They probably think it's like, you know, if you drew a little picture for your cousin or something, that's probably what they see it as. Like, oh, that's nothing. You don't do any. You know, like those family members who are like, you're doing big things, and then they're like, go to school. Because I'm half Asian, so my aunts always be saying that. I'm like, I'm doing so good, and they're like, go to school. I'm like, wait, why?
You need a real job.
Do for me? And then they bring up like T-Pain going back to school. I'm like, what the fuck does that mean?
What? But I didn't know that.
I was T-Pain going back to school?
No, the Black Eyed Peas guy. Sorry.
Will.i.am?
Will.i.am? Yeah, he went back to school for coding and stuff. And I was like, no, I'm not going to do all that. Maybe like boot camps and stuff. But one thing I wanted to ask, because it's something I'm trying to fix a lot more. But when you get into a situation where like things start happening, like let's say your camera starts messing up and all that, and even if you built redundancy, like you have a backup camera and everything, like how do you deal with your anxieties and your nervousness and all that? Like, do you have like a way of like breathing or meditation when you're in this crazy situation and it's just all going to poop?
So recently I was in New York and I was in my hotel room editing like a video on my computer, minding my own business. and then the fire alarm goes off randomly. And now the thing is, I'm working in Final Cut Pro. I have my hard drive attached to it. I can't, if I just like take the hard drive out and like whatever, I could corrupt the hard drive. That's all my work, basically. So I started, I just sat there and at first I didn't even know what was going on. I'm like, what, is there a fire? And I just stood there. I'm like, wait a sec, like, okay, this is really happening. So I'm like, okay, calm down. What are the immediate things that you need? Because there's a fire and you could burn to death in here. So the first thing I thought of was my hard drive and my computer. And that's all I need. So I had to I'm like, okay, just calm down. I just kind of like spoke to myself. I'm like, just calm down. We're ejecting this. I like took out my hard drive. I got my computer. I was literally shaking so bad. I couldn't even, like, the alarm's going off. And like, this is a hotel, like, that's in New York. Like, if alarm is going off, it's like pretty serious. And like, I've dealt with a fire before. And I feel wow. I've had dealt with a fire before in the Middle East. Actually, it was super scary. And I just think of like the first things that I need. And so it was, again, my hard drive and my computer, because everything else can be replaced. But let's be real, my hard drive, it's coming with me no matter what. Like, I'm whatever. So I put it in my backpack. I was literally shaking, couldn't do anything. And I was just like, okay, calm down. Like, it's fine. I'm zipping it up. I'm leaving. Like, this is it. I'm not thinking of anything else except those two things. And then I opened the door and the alarm stops and there's like a security guard running. And I'm like, are we supposed to leave? He's like, somebody pulled it on this floor. And I'm like, oh, it wasn't me.
Oh, my God.
I look sus now. I'm like coming out with my backpack and everything, like ready to go. He's like, damn. It's like on the same floor. I'm like, oh, this looks so bad. Just went into my room. I'm like, okay, so I guess it was nothing. But I've definitely, like, I'm the queen of like dramatic situations because I've found myself in a fire, like almost car accident, like a flood. Like there's so many things I've experienced and I pause and I just try my best not to freak out, because once you freak out and you just start losing it, like nothing's going to get done. Like it's over. So I try to just stay calm and not overreact. So I just talk myself, like I just think what's happening and what is the solution to the issue we're dealing with.
Yeah, it's smart.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen that movie Step Brothers?
No.
No? Oh, there's a scene where like there's like this whole family and they're like singing together in the car. They're singing this song and they're all harmonizing and like it goes so beautifully, but all of a sudden like during the climax of the song, like they're about to hit a truck and the dad goes, whoa, and he steers the car kind of like off the road a little bit, but then they finish the song. And I had a moment like that one time when I was driving with a client. We were in Tennessee. It was snowing. It was like the worst snow they ever had. And like our plane had just landed. We just got there. I got there with the artist. We're driving to one of the artists' like studios, and we're like having a good time. Everybody's energy is like on 10, dude. Like we're hyped. And then here comes the turn to go into like the guy's street, and the car loses traction, and we end up hitting one of those poles, like those light poles. Yeah. And it dented his car pretty bad. And I just remember like looking back, it was funny. It's funny because I'm like, yeah, that was a hilarious situation when you think about it, like us being in such a good mood to like all of a sudden, boom, Because
it's crazy how fast you can change your mindset. Because the funniest story for me was my homie fell asleep while driving home from Cali. Like I was like, I was so tired. We went to this Breakbot concert and we drove home like first thing in the morning, and like I was tired because like I was at the bar all night, and then I was like, can you drive? Because he was sleeping the whole time, so I was like, he has to be good, but he was driving. No. I went to sleep, and then I woke up and we were drifting at like 60 miles per hour on the highway, and this fool's just screaming because he fell asleep and we almost went off the road, and he fucking like swerved. But it was so funny. How many people were in the car? It was 4 of us. 4 of you? It was funny. My brother was puking. My homie was just like super confused in the back. And then I was just like, I woke up to this. Like I woke up to almost dying, and I was like, damn, I'm about to die
right but never about to sleep again. You never shut your eyes after that.
Yeah, exactly. But then it's funny like how you can just like be like, oh, okay. You can calm down so much more if you just like, okay. That happened.
Yeah. You just need to focus. People just need to focus and we all start panicking. Like, actually, the fire situation, I was in the Middle East and my cousin's apartment, she woke us up screaming, there's a fire. Like we had just flew in internationally. It was like 12-hour flight. We went straight to bed And then my cousin wakes us up at like 4 a.m. screaming, everyone get out, fire. Like, I didn't know what was going on. It was I had hardly slept. I just had an international flight. And so everybody's screaming and like running out of the apartment. There's like a bunch of girls, like me and my cousins. I'm the only one who's like, the first thing I thought of in the midst of all the chaos was like, okay, what do I need? I went and I grabbed my passport, my American passport, and then I grabbed like a luggage. I'm like, oh, why not? I'm here anyways, might as well just grab a couple things. I'm the only person who went back in, I didn't go back in, but I'm the only person who came out with like stuff. Everyone else just like showed up empty-handed because they were like in a panic. But I'm like, I just took a second. I'm like, wait, I need my passport because like, I just need it,
Yeah.
I don't want to, like, getting a passport at the embassy was going to just be a hassle, so.
Yeah, I'm terrible. My ass be sweating so hard.
I mean, if you're friends asleep at the wheel, yeah.
I'm talking about other things too, but
she's not talking about talking about forgetting an SD card, bro.
No,
not dying at the wheel.
Even like when little technical issues happen with this podcast, I start sweating. I'm like, oh no.
You should have seen him yesterday after our test call. He was freaking out.
Yeah, I was so sad. I was like, so mad actually.
No,
the Skype thing wasn't working. I was like, oh.
I want to talk about one thing because we're gonna get near to wrapping up. One of the last things I want to talk about was like people canceling photo shoots. Is that something that you still have to deal with, or is that kind of like, you know what, you're Jessica Kobeissi now. Nobody cancels on Jessica Kobeissi, and then you do this. How does that go?
Oh gosh, definitely still have people who don't show up. I had a model who I booked with an agency that I've worked with so often, and I'm like friends with the agents and everything. And she just like, he called, like it was an 8:30 a.m. shoot, and he calls me at 8 o'clock, leaves a voicemail, basically saying like, hey, model hasn't confirmed since last night and this morning. I don't think she's gonna show up. Like, we can get you a replacement. Thank God this guy was able. I don't even know how the hell the new model who showed up. She showed up on time at 8:30. It was incredible, actually. Yeah, she like got out of bed like right away. She was like, on top of it. And thankfully, because I had a makeup artist, I rented a studio for this. The other model, I don't know what she was doing, but she probably didn't want to show up for God knows what reason. But I still get canceled on. There are still many YouTubers and photographers who don't want to work with me, I'm sure, who don't care to, which is fine. And again, it just goes to the fact that, like, not everyone's going to like what you do. Not everyone's going to like you as a person. Not everyone's going to enjoy your content or like your photography. And you just have to, accept it. I personally like my work, and I know the value that I bring to a photo shoot and to a collaboration. So if someone doesn't want to collab, like, that's fine with me. I'm not here to beg anybody to be in a collab, or I want to work with people who want to work with me, basically, who are excited to work with me. And I love people like that because they truly believe in me, and it makes me work like 100,000 times better because I'm like, wow, they really like are so excited to work with me, and I want to give them like my best work possible. So I appreciate people, but I never chase after people who don't want to be in a video or do a photo shoot with me. I'm like, okay, on to the next. There's so many other people who appreciate and will love what you do. You just have to find and focus on those people.
Yep. Surround yourself with good people.
Yeah, definitely.
So another question that I had was, I think I might have seen it in one of your videos. You mentioned that you used to work at a daycare, if I'm correct.
Yeah.
Or did I? Okay. Do you think working with children gave you the patience to work with adults?
Oh, God. I think it's easier to work with adults. Well, I can confirm. I've shot some family photos before, and it's chaos. Like, kids just don't like pictures.
Yeah, I've had to photograph.
Baby.
Huh?
The baby.
Yeah, so my brother just had a baby, and also my sister has 4 babies. Or yeah, I'll let them know you said it. But being around a Mexican family, like, there's always a baby. So I've had to do so many cake smashes, so many like, baby 1-year-old photo shoots or whatever. And I always say, like, if it's not like my brother's baby, like, I will not photograph children. It's just so difficult. And it's not something that I really want to put myself in. So
I respect those photographers.
I applaud like so when I was telling my brother, like, no, you should just hire a photographer to do that, because like you kind of need like a studio, you need like fans, you need like the props, you know what I mean? And then we looked up like photographers in our area. And like, oh shoot, it's like $600 to $1,000 for like a 30-minute 1 hour session, and you still have to pay for the prints. So it gets very pricey. But after having to deal with it myself, I'm like, yep, that's probably what I would charge.
It's a lot of work, and a lot of different photographers go through different things, especially depending on who they work with. But definitely children, I 100,000% like understand and respect those who work with children and newborns, especially. It's totally different world of photography, totally different than what we do. And that's what's so interesting about photography, is that, again, there's so many different styles, so many different genres of photography. It's incredible. And you meet these different people every now and then and see what their world is like. So I love it. And I love it.
One of the last, and actually the last question that I had, what does 2020, 2021 hold for Jessica Kobeissi? What should we be looking out for?
Well, you should be looking out for coronavirus, because, I'm not trying to get that. So
We ain't getting it. You too resilient.
But in all seriousness, other than that, because it is it's affecting travel and people's health, obviously.
Yeah, living in Las Vegas, especially, we've taken a hit, like out here in Vegas. Like no one's coming. The hotels are at like one of the lowest percentage bookings. It's trippy. I thought it was like, when I first heard about it, like in beginning of February, it was like a joke.
Yeah,
it was like, we're joking.
One of those things.
But
yeah,
I actually work for a college, and I'm hearing rumors of like, oh, we're gonna be remote now. You know what I mean? Because they don't want people gathering in larger groups of like 250 or more. And
yeah, it's important that we do that.
Oh, actually, I did have another question, but I'll let you answer this one first.
No, that's okay. So 2020, lots of collaborations this year, hopefully. And I think I'm focusing a lot on doing more agency work and seeing what I can, like how far I can take the sponsorships and in classes, workshops, stuff like that. I want to see where I can go with it before I go back to my traditional wedding photography job. So it's kind of like up in the air now. There are some things I definitely want to do. The collaborations, I think. Still want to do YouTube videos. Love those. And so I'm doing the brand stuff and seeing where it goes.
Awesome. And the last question that I had for you today was TikTok. Where do you see it going? Are you going to join the band, like the wagon?
Keem's viral.
You guys, I just made 2 videos. I made 2 videos, but they're not photography related. You guys, every person's like, are you on TikTok? You should make one. Yours would do so well. You're going to blow up on TikTok. I'm like, you guys, please. Like, I struggle to edit all of my own YouTube videos. I have to edit all my photography, and to learn a new platform. I don't know. But I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. I'm going to force myself to do it. Actually, one of the models I worked with, her name is Isabella Fonte. She actually was like helping me work it, because she's like 19 and like hip and cool and stuff. So she's like been helping me. She's like sending me songs, like, use this song in your TikTok. I'm like, oh no, I know I'm really old. So definitely going to be seeing. That's how you know we're getting old. I know. Definitely going to be seeing more TikToks from me. And they're not going to be that good. I don't know. Who knows? I don't know what the quality is going to be like, but they might be ratchet, but they're going to be up, So.
Well, I'm 29 years old, and when I found out about TikTok last year, I was just watching videos. But when I started posting, I was like, how the hell do you use this app? So I had to ask my 15-year-old niece to give me some pointers. And that's how that's how I know what I know now.
That's so crazy.
Okay,
wait, you totally just froze. I didn't hear anything.
Oh. Yeah, so essentially my niece that's 15 years old had to teach me how to use TikTok because I didn't get it.
That's so funny.
I mean, this is what it's come to in our life.
I mean, I remember when I used to be like at the forefront of technology. Now it's like I'm in the back seat. You know what I mean?
How do you use this?
I'm in the trunk, okay?
Dude, I see these 12-year-old kids on TikTok editing fire videos, bro. I'm like, what did you use?
I need to hire them to do my TikTok videos, to be honest with you.
But yeah, in case you forgot, so what you want to do is you want to shoot it on your actual phone camera, right? Yeah. And then what you do is you if there's a sound or music song that you want to download, just download it, like record a video of nothing, like, you know, put your hand over your phone, just record a black screen, and then that auto, like, post it privately so that it goes to your camera roll, and then use the audio in like Adobe Rush or like Final Cut or whatever you used to edit on your phone.
So much.
I know.
It's a little bit of a journey, man. And then when you export, and then when you export, you have to detach the audio or mute the audio so that you can resync it in TikTok. Yeah.
I'm gonna just stay on YouTube. How about that?
Well, I don't know if you use Premiere to edit. I don't know if you use Premiere to edit your videos, but I heard Premiere now has like a auto crop adjuster.
Yeah.
So like if you do
nice.
like vertical video and you place your 1920 by 1080 video, it'll auto crop it.
Yeah, it's so nice. I love Premiere.
Yeah. So
It just crashes on me all the time.
I'll look into
it works.
more TikTok. Premiere, I've never used it.
You use Final Cut though, yeah.
nice. All right. Well, Jessica, thank you so much
Thank
for taking
you.
time out of your day to talk to us. We appreciate
Of
your time.
course.
I'm so happy we're finally able to make it happen.
I appreciate you guys.
Of course, for everybody that's tuning in, we're going to put your information in the description down below. So everybody who's tuning in, thank you guys for catching us, and we'll catch you guys on the next morning dinner.
Later.
Every time I come in the kitchen, you in the kitchen, in the goddamn refrigerator.
I sure am hungry.
That wraps up episode 92 of the Morning Dinner Podcast. If you guys made it all the way through, well, why don't you go ahead and leave a comment down below and let us know how you like that episode. We have new episodes coming out throughout the entire year of 2020. So
Please like, comment, and subscribe. And lastly, leave a review on iTunes for us, please. Helps us greatly.
it helps people find the podcast. So if you guys want to do us a little little favor,
Please.
it helps the podcast.
Please.
But anyways, go ahead and make sure you follow Jessica Kobeissi on Instagram, Twitter. Check out her YouTube channel.
Details below.
I'm pretty sure you've heard of Jessica Kobeissi. Without further ado, we'll see you guys in the next episode of the Morning Dinner Podcast.
Later, y'all.